everyone! Today we're taking a look at the OPPO Find X9S Pro, and the version I have here comes in the white color option. Throughout this video, I'll share what this phone does really well, along with the areas where it could have been better.
A quick shout out to my tech partner from China for sharing this video. A big thank you for making this possible. Hey everyone, it's Maiky from techmaiky. If you love staying updated with the latest gadgets, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out our exciting tech content. Now let's dive into the unboxing.
Now let's start with the color. This white isn't the typical white finish you might be expecting. If you look at the unit I have, it actually has a soft bluish purple tint. Some people compare it to jade clay, while others describe it as a light lilac shade. It's not an unattractive color by any means, but if you're specifically hoping for a clean white phone, the real product may leave you disappointed. So if you're planning to buy this color, I strongly recommend seeing it in person first instead of relying on the official promotional images, because the difference between the renders and the real device is surprisingly large. The phone features a 6.32-inch display, measures 8.4 millimeters thick, and weighs 200 grams. Around the rear camera area, OPPO has introduced what it calls the inspiration window. The concept behind it is to blend the camera module into a unified design language, which sounds great in theory. However, in practice, there are a few issues. Since the window stretches all the way to the edge of the phone, its rounded corners don't perfectly align with the overall curves of the body. When you slide your fingers across the edge, you can clearly notice three different levels: the frame, the inspiration window, and the camera module, each sitting at a different height with its own curve. Previous Find series devices focused heavily on a clean, minimalist appearance, so while I understand the engineering behind this design, the final result feels like a step backward in terms of overall visual consistency. Moving over to the front, this is where the phone really shines. The 1.5K display is surrounded by incredibly slim 1.1mm bezels on all four sides. Combined with the rounded corners, the front of the device looks elegant and is easily my favorite part of the design. I've noticed several reviewers referring to this panel as an LTPO display, but that's actually incorrect. It's an LTPS panel. I won't spend too much time explaining the technical differences, but personally, I prefer LTPS because it's more comfortable on my eyes. I'm quite sensitive to screen flicker, and the combination of LTPS technology with high-frequency PWM dimming makes long viewing sessions feel much easier. OPPO has also introduced a visual comfort adjustment feature developed with collaboration with Zhejiang University. Through extensive human factor research, they've created 6 different brightness adjustment profiles designed for users with varying levels of brightness sensitivity, offering a more personalized eye comfort experience. Both overly bright and overly dim displays can lead to eye strain, and unsuitable brightness levels may even cause headaches, anxiety, nausea, or irritation. This feature allows you to fine-tune the brightness based on your own visual comfort, and I think OPPO deserves real credit for including it. Officially, the display reaches 1800 nits of global brightness and can drop all the way down to just 1 nit in every usage scenario. I measured the brightness myself using a lux meter, and you can see the results displayed on screen. Whether I was using navigation, checking maps, or watching videos under direct sunlight, visibility was never an issue. While it doesn't reach the 6,000 to 8,000 nit peak brightness figures we've seen advertised on some flagship phones, I never experienced any situation where the screen became difficult to see. As for dimming, OPPO officially rates the display with 3840 Hz high-frequency PWM dimming. At higher brightness levels, it behaves similarly to DC dimming, while medium and lower brightness levels use genuine 3840 Hz PWM dimming. Combined with the LTPS panel I mentioned earlier, the flicker depth remains well controlled. If you're someone who's sensitive to screen flicker, this display performs very well. That said, considering this phone costs more than 5,000 yuan, I do think OPPO should have considered offering the kind of display specifications buyers generally expect at this price point. Powering the phone is the Dimensity 9500 processor. It scored 3.05 million points in Antutu, achieved 3261 in Geekbench single-core, 8789 in multi-core, and recorded a GPU score of 21,900. I also tested its AI performance, which we'll take a look at as well. Of course, benchmark numbers only tell part of the story. In everyday use, the experience matters much more. Over the past few days, I've been constantly switching between WeChat, Taobao, Xiaohongshu, TikTok, and the camera app, and everything has remained smooth without any noticeable lag or dropped frames. I also played Genshin Impact for 30 minutes, where the phone maintained an average frame rate above 60 FPS while reaching a maximum temperature of 41.5 degrees Celsius, which is perfectly respectable. However, to be completely honest, the Find X9S Pro isn't built with hardcore gamers in mind. If your top priority is gaming performance, this probably isn't the phone you should be looking at. Battery life, on the other hand, is excellent. The large 7,025 mAh battery easily gets through an entire day without causing range anxiety. Charging support includes 80-watt wired charging and 50-watt wireless charging. Using a power meter, I recorded a full charge from 1% to 100% in 74 minutes, while the battery reached 51% after just 30 minutes. Although those numbers aren't considered exceptionally fast by 2026 standards, they're still better than average once you consider the large battery capacity. Now, let's talk about the cameras. The main camera uses Samsung's 200MP HPB sensor with a 1.14-inch sensor size and an f1.6 aperture. The telephoto camera features the HP5 200MP sensor with a 1.56-inch sensor size, an f2.6 aperture, and a 65mm portrait focal length.
Although the camera hardware is a step down in some areas, it still stands out in its price segment. Among compact Pro smartphones, this is currently the only one offering a dual 200-megapixel camera setup, making it a unique option that you won't easily find elsewhere. There are two camera features that deserve special attention. The first is OPPO's second-generation single-lens color reproduction technology. It delivers up to 15 eV of ultra-high dynamic range, while improving light sensing efficiency by 43% compared to the previous generation. What's even better is that this technology isn't limited to taking photos. It also works while shooting live photos and videos, helping improve color calibration, white balance, and overall color accuracy. The second highlight is the flash system. Instead of using a standard LED flash, OPPO includes a zoom flash with multifocal length adaptive lighting. This allows the flash to adjust based on the shooting distance, producing noticeably better results for night photography and low-light portraits. If you regularly rely on flash photography, you'll definitely appreciate the difference. Now let's check out some camera samples captured during everyday use. One thing that immediately stands out is how detailed the images remain even after heavy cropping. The 200-megapixel sensor preserves an impressive amount of sharpness, giving you plenty of flexibility when editing your shots. Beyond the hardware, the feature that impressed me the most is the Hasselblad Master Mode and its 9 built-in native film styles. Each one digitally recreates the look of classic film stocks or iconic CCD camera aesthetics. Out of all of them, there are 3 that I personally enjoy the most. The first is the Portrait Film simulation. Inspired by the classic Kodak Portrait Film sentiment, it's especially suited for indoor portraits under warm lighting. It produces soft-looking skin tones with smooth, creamy highlights. It's also a vibrant film style with rich blue and red tones, making it an excellent choice for cloudy weather when lighting conditions aren't ideal. Another favorite is the Kodak Tri-X black and white simulation. It delivers strong contrast with deep blacks and rich monochrome texture, making it perfect for street photography or scenes with dramatic lighting. Overall, the images produced in Master Mode are almost entirely digital, yet they capture a texture and character that's remarkably close to what you'd expect from a dedicated camera. On top of these film styles, Master Mode also supports LUTs, or lookup tables, which are commonly used for professional color grading. In the past, importing LUTs was something only experienced photographers usually did, while casual users rarely had access to the process. Today, many photography creators share their settings online, and some even include the LUT data directly. All you need to do is press the left mouse button and AI Flash automatically recognizes the information and imports the LUT into Master Mode for you. Instead of manually copying settings, the entire process becomes a simple one-click transfer. To me, this is one of the most meaningful AI features introduced in this version of ColorOS. Rather than answering simple questions like the weather forecast, it actually streamlines a real creative workflow. The same philosophy continues with video recording. The phone supports 8K recording at 30 frames per second with 10-bit log capture. The footage is recorded with low saturation and low contrast, leaving plenty of room for professional color grading during editing. It also offers native support for professional 3D LUT preview and real-time LUT baking while following the ACS cinematic color management workflow. This means you can preview the final color effect as you record, or even have the camera permanently apply the LUT directly into the video file, removing the need for separate color grading later. Several official LUTs are already built in, and you can also import your own custom LUTs. Moving on to ColorOS 16, the feature that stood out to me the most is the redesigned lock screen navigation experience. OPPO has reshaped notifications into a compact floating interface that sits near the bottom of the display. Whether you're holding the phone with one hand while using WeChat, following navigation, or listening to music, notifications remain within reach ease. A simple swipe with your thumb lets you access them without unlocking the phone or changing your grip, which makes one-handed use much more convenient. During my testing, however, I noticed that navigation recognition only worked while walking or biking. It didn't recognize driving navigation. There are two smaller features that I found surprisingly useful. The first is one-tap home screen organization. It's a simple idea, but incredibly practical. You can automatically arrange your apps by category, icon color, or even restore your previous layout with just a single tap. The second feature is headphone audio sharing. The phone allows two separate Bluetooth earbuds to stay connected at the same time, with independent volume controls for each user. Previously, people had to split a single pair of earbuds between them, but now two people can use their own wireless earbuds while listening to the same audio source without affecting each other's volume. That said, there are still two hardware shortcomings worth pointing out. The first is that the USB port is limited to the USB 2.0 standard, which is difficult to justify on a smartphone priced above 5,000 yuan. The second is the relatively small image sensor, which limits the camera's performance in very dark environments and night photography. And that wraps up this review. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.